may be relevant at one point, but anyway, you can have it. So our idea was a bit different from what other people have been doing, and I guess Katja should click on the next slide, please. We wanted to work with Tolkien's works, and as you know, he has written a lot of different stuff, and we decided to take two his main prose works, The Lord of the Rings and The Silmarillion. And next, please. You know that there are a lot of characters, and this is we found on the internet. That's what the interactions between them look like, and it's quite hard to work with this. So we wanted to focus on some certain stories. So you know that there are a lot of different races, different peoples, if we can say. And in the history of Tolkien's Middle-earth, there were three unions of the Eldar and Eldar, so elves and men. And they were Luthien and Beren, Idril and Tuor, and Arwen and Aragorn. Next, please. And since the men in these stories are quite important to the plot, we wanted to focus on the women. These are the three elf girls. Elven girls. Yeah, I guess most of you might know Arwen, since she was in the films. And the two first are just from the Silmarillion.
Yeah, Arwen, she's the one with Aragorn. I mean, it's how I remember.
It is, you know. So we wanted to see with who they interact, and if that makes sense in terms of what their role in the plot is. So now I think, right, please, yeah. Katja, we had some, yeah.
Yeah. Firstly, I want to say that we didn't put the connections between other characters, as our focus was only on with the elves communicate. So the clusterization doesn't matter in our case. And secondly, there were some technical problems in our project because it's not a play but a prose. There are many undirected speeches, and when we were looking for parts where the characters were mentioned, we tried to decide whether they are worth to be included in our graphs or not.
So our project can be divided into parts. Katja and I focused on the manual work, and Tanya did a lot of very difficult programming. And now we're going to talk a bit about how we manually searched and included these connections, and then Tanya will tell her story. So, next, please. Yeah. So here's the first graph. If you are looking into the file that we sent you, in the comments there are some notes about who is who, because I doubt that all of you know these names. So Luthien is the first character that is really important. She's an elf, an elven girl. You can see that she's quite strongly connected to Beren. He's her lover, and they love his life, and the man for who she gave up her mortality. So their connection is quite strong, the strongest of all of them. Thingol and Melen are her parents, and you can see that they are obviously the next. And the other characters don't interact with her that much, but it was interesting that she encounters two main antagonists of the story, that is Sauron and Morgoth. They are evil number one and number two. And there are also other different characters, but I want to mention Daemon. He was a minstrel and a law master in the country where she lived, and he was in love with her and tried to win her, but later he betrayed her. So that's important because later we'll see this most the same. His connection to her is a bit. It's not that strong as her parents' connection, but it's also one of the main. Next, please. this is the second character, Edain. You can see right now that she interacts with much less people. It is interesting that Idril married Dor, and Magdalene was her cousin, who was in love with her. And you can see that the interactions between her and these two men are at the same level. Magdalene was the one who betrayed her and her whole family, and and how she dealt with it was the main part of why she is important in the whole plot, because she helped people to escape and so on, and her children were quite important in the later parts. So, next please.
Arwen had only a few connections. We see that she mainly talked to Aragorn, which is obvious, and to her father Elrond. And other characters just contacted with her occasionally.
Yeah, but she saved Frodo.
Yeah. But there were not so much times when they were talking to each other, so...
And if we're looking at it as a whole, we can see that firstly the number of interactions fell quite radically, I could say. Luthien was really important to the plot, and I can't say that Arwen wasn't, but she doesn't play that important role in the plot, in the story.
Maybe she just doesn't interact that much, because I guess hadn't she saved Frodo, then Sauron would have ruled all the Middle Earth. But
she saved Frodo only in the movie. In the book, it was.
Sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, but she talked to him. That's also important. And another thing, other than the decreasing number of the interactions, we can see that she doesn't have another man in her life, because she was dedicated to Aragorn quite from the beginning of the story, and she just, I guess we can really see how the importance of them is decreasing.
Yeah, and maybe another difference between Arwen and the two other elven girls is that about these elven girls, there are like the whole chapters in the books in Silmarillion, and the Arwen, she's just one of the many characters in the Lord of the Rings. And she doesn't have the whole chapter dedicated to her, and I guess it is also the difference.
Yeah, now Tanya will move on.
Yeah, I've took Beren and Luthien because it's one of the most popular legends in the Middle Earth. Like when you read the book, a lot of characters may say, yeah, like Beren and Luthien, yeah, you know the story, yeah, sure, and they tell it to each other and they really like it, and that's why I decided to take it. At first my idea was to write a program so that it could read this chapter and extract the characters, and then to establish bonds between each other. And then I wanted to do it manually and to compare, but to tell the truth, I failed a bit. Not like I didn't do it at all, but there were some problems. Firstly, I didn't write it here, but it's obviously I'm not a really good programmer first. And the second problem is that the data was too messy. Because, for example, Beren, he's the son of Barathir. And they always call him Beren, son of Barathir. And so this Barathir, it goes like through all the chapter. And if you establishes connections with almost all the characters, but actually he died before, like nobody actually know him. So it was like one of the messy thing, and there were others like this. And secondly, there are no dialects, and it's not always evident for the program who talks to who. For example, Baron falls in love with this Luthien, but her father, he doesn't really like it. I mean, she's a princess and he's some guy and mortal, and come on. And then Baron comes to this elven king, and this elven king, there are no words like elven king said to Baron. No, elven king, he says just out loud in the ear, and everybody has to listen to him. And so you cannot establish the connections via speech. So, how do we decide? Do I decide what nodes to connect? Well, firstly, I thought to make some distance, like if the two characters are in like 35 znakov, I don't know in English, sorry.
Characters.
Yeah, like to make a window and so that scrolls, and if but actually then I noticed that Tolkien has already divided into paragraphs.
Yes.
Yeah, he already did it for me, and so I've decided to make connections if people were mentioned in one paragraph, and paragraphs are not really long, just like 3-5 sentences. And how I handled the messy problem, I had to tag the names. So like there was Baron, and before his name was tag name, and after his name there was also tag name.
Yes.
Yeah, like a bit like in HTML maybe.
Closing tag.
Yeah, opening and closing tag, and. While tagging, I could decide whether I want this name to be counted in or not. So this helped me to exclude this Barathir out of the picture because, I mean...
So me and Kate did the same, but without the programming part.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, we found the guys that are important to us. And so the program just gave me like a list. Which was divided to a part. For example, in first paragraph were these guys, in second another guys, and my super idea was that the program would make C3 out of it automatically, but unfortunately I had not enough time to do this, so I had to do it myself. Well, but actually I managed. So. Here is the Baron, and as you can see, he has got a lot of connections, and it looks like he's the main character in the plot because he makes mostly all of the interactions. Then Luthien, it's the elven girl for whom he's trying to kill Sauron, to find some jewels. So that he could marry her. Yeah, and this guy, Thingol, he's actually this ugly father who doesn't want them to get married. And you can also see here Sauron and Morgoth, those evil guys who want everyone to die and or to serve them. I guess all the other guys, if you do not really know the story, there is no point to tell you about them. I mean, it's just boring. What was the point of the story? First, Baron's father dies. This Barathir, who was all the time with me, and he wanders. He tries to kill someone, and then he sees Luthien in the forest. He falls in love. He can do nothing with himself, and then he comes up to her, says, "I love you." She says, "Yeah, I love you too." Okay, let's go to my father. They go to her father. Father says, "No, I will kill you." But no, he promised his daughter not to kill him. A problem. And he says, "Go there, really, really far away. get these jewels that are really heavily guarded, that everyone wants them, including Morgoth and Sauron. And of course, as soon as they know that Baron has these jewels, they're gonna kill him. That was the Thingol's idea. Yeah, and actually Sauron captured Baron, but Luthien was not that simple. She meets, she meets a dog, and she goes with this dog to Sauron. She just overthrows him, takes her boyfriend. Everything is nice, but finally they die. So actually, what's the point? You can see that Luthien is the center of the plot, but Baron has interact with more than she does. Yeah, and here it's the same, it's degree, but in a bar chart. Yeah, and you can see that Baron is the most popular guy, then Morgoth, but actually it's not like everybody interacts with him, they just talk about him a lot. That's why he appeared almost in all the paragraphs. Then Sauron, so. But actually he played quite a great role in this. And this Thingol, he goes throughout all the story because everybody comes to him, because everybody wants his daughter, and he also appears very often. And the Luthien, she's also obviously with high degree. Basically that's it. Sorry if it was a bit long. I just really like the story.
Quite a modern representation of Silmarillion, so I actually recommend all of you to read it, but it can be quite hard.
Yeah, it should be like a Bible.
First 10 times if you read it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I mentioned it earlier. I mean, extracting social networks from novels is something that research groups in Europe and America are working on. 20 computer scientists with 20 years of experiences, and you just tried it yourself. I mean, you tackled a lot of problems that they have, still trying to solve. So that's very brave. So
we used Control F and read the paragraphs.
Right, but it's not that simple as you. Is something mentioned? Is it in the dialogue? And in general, I mean, the internet is full of network analysis of Tolkien, the Tolkien universe. It's always nice to see a different approach to that. So.
Yeah, we thought that there are a lot of things about Tolkien, but we decided that we want to do it because it's interesting to us, firstly, and secondly, we don't think that we made some, scientific breakthrough with this project. So it wasn't our aim. Our aim was just to gather some skills to make something interesting for us. So, and I guess we did it.
Yeah.
More questions?
Our aim was the same. Yeah, I just wanted to add something to what you said. I totally agree. And I think you've actually encountered a lot of problems which are typical for general text mining, general information extraction, general computational linguistics, and I think it's good because it actually pinpoints the whole interdisciplinarity of the field of DH. How you actually you are trying to do some research which is basically on literature, but the problems you face are actually the same problems that people face when they're trying to make some application for I don't know, named entity recognition in corporate search or whatever. And this is good. I mean, the things that you mentioned, that I mean, it's basically his patronymic, but it appears everywhere, and you cannot read it. I mean, you have to come up with special special heuristics to actually filter out these mentions which are not really mentions of a person, which are basically a patronymic of another person. So it's really a good educational outcome of this whole research.
Right, and I also liked your teamwork. It shows that it's not about replacing manual methods with some kind of black box which we don't know what it does, but it's about helping us with automated methods to learn more about these things. But of course, reading it, that's why we are in this game called Humanities, because we like that stuff. So it's scalable reading on many levels, and great teamwork, I have to say.
Questions?
I had another question actually. You had this slide where you have all three networks.
Yeah.
And there are no. I mean, here you do not establish any connections in between these three networks, right? Because you only have the people who are directly connected to one of three girls.
Yeah,
But otherwise, you could, right? I mean, if because
Yeah,
Frodo,
sure.
Frodo is obviously connected to Aragorn,
yeah. But actually,
or do they actually have connections?
yeah. Well, if you want, you can find, because it's like a Bible. He's the father of this, and he's my like triple cousin. I don't know. You really can find this in Tolkien's work, because his genealogic tree, it's really. I mean, he worked on this a lot. And here, actually, I forgot to mention that I didn't count characters that were met less than 3 times, because otherwise it would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they always talk about someone whom we don't know, and the doom of someone, house of someone. Who is this guy? Nobody knows. Yeah. So, that's it.
I think we have 3 more groups, right? And while you can think about who's going to be next, are you going to be next? Okay, just one little thing, because maybe some people have to go early. That's nice. Okay, just 1 minute, if I may. You know that all of our slides are on this website. And the first lecture we have the plan for the next seminars, I think, somewhere here. And there are 2 things. First of all, I mean, this is the first half of our whole lecture, so we're now at half time. The second half will be like this, a bit shorter. We will have GIS, Geographic Information Systems, we will have digital editions, and then another colloquium, and then a lot about big data, Wikipedia, Twitter analysis, just so you know. And the colloquiums are very important because we try to avoid having an exam at the end, which is probably also in your interest. So that's why we look closely who's presenting and who didn't present, and if you want to be counted and if you want to have good grades and marks, then you have to be present at the colloquiums. That's also just something I wanted to say again. And also just to see that what's next. So we are shifting from network analysis to another topic of digital humanities, and this will be taught by some colleagues of us, which we are very fond of. And you know, if you know somebody who's interested in geographical data, they can of course they're invited. Did I forget something?